Anison was getting too small a tip once again for a terribly white family. They hardly acknowledged their own existence and sacredness, much less her own. She knew she was strong, but she also longed for something deep in her bowels. This may sound weird, but lately, over the past couple of weeks, she'd been visioning her desire mid movement, um, aka mid bowel movement. Glimpses of many different things, green and gray. Hello and welcome to Brigit's Kitchen. I wanted to make this introduction video for you guys. I wanted to show you what's back here. This is sort of the hearth. This is a beautiful chair that we inherited. Some posters from some Wee Moon calendars past, and there's the wood stove fire with the altar to our ancestor Jean Marie, what is remembered lives. And we got a lot of tea and things. This is a picture I took of our maypole this year, top of the maypole. And then over here is, of course, a Brigid's cross. Um, Forge of Brigid is a Catholic worker house, and we really love this idea of being connected with other Catholic workers. While the two co-founders of this place are pagan, both of us have connected deeply with other Catholic workers, both Catholic and non-Catholic, Christian and non-Christian, atheist, pagan, Jewish, monotheist, polytheist, all of the above I've seen, and I've enjoyed functioning in Catholic worker houses as equals upon visits with Catholic workers of all religious backgrounds. So this podcast is in part to open up dialogue and conversation among a lot of different Catholic workers. And I want to also acknowledge that this podcast is about exercising a spirit of pride around being working class people, because the desire of the revolution today is class consciousness and not consciousness necessarily of the categorizations that we have been put into only outside of the context of capitalism, but to recognize how, as Du Bois puts, our privileges don't necessarily separate us, as has been created as a dialogue or narrative about it today, but our privileges actually bring us awareness of our privileges actually brings us closer together. So I really look forward to sussing out and having dialogue and connecting and talking about what we can do to function as one class, to reclaim the means of production and to share the land, so that when we have our tomorrow, it will be a tomorrow when we decided it was the best time for the mass walkout. I want to read to you from the description. The Round Table is a project belonging to indigenous solidarity and the working class, rooted in the Catholic worker movement's tradition of discussion and storytelling for clarity of thought. We aim to make space for people to disagree, reframe, generate creativity, process ideas, and share with equal voicing toward a world of shared earth, gift economy, restorative justice, and loosely federated councils of localized participant democracy. Roundtable discussions create upliftment of animist traditions, indigenous nations, and the working class. We have a goal to hold 13 podcasts with live streaming, open participation from 13 kitchens located in 13 communes, land being liberated as working class commons, that is, around the globe. We will give any proceeds from advertisements, and also eventually we hope to have a Patreon set up for this, in the cast, to projects of indigenous land repatriation. And I mean 100% of it. If we're going to fund any growth of capital for the process of this podcast, we're going to do that out of our own pocket of participants, or maybe a common purse that's allocated specifically for those items. But so far, I think we have all the means that we need. We may occasionally have tables in temporary autonomous zones. So I want to welcome you. I want to invite your participation. Who am I? I am Valerian Snow Rainbow Flower Power, and I was so named by my family, especially Suzanne Snow, who is my partner. And we've co-founded a intentional community here. This podcast is not necessarily about our community or even necessarily an invitation to join it, but if you would like to learn more about it, there's usually a link to our commune's listing on a directory. This podcast is more about bringing ideas together, bringing communal projects together, workers, labor unions together, people who work for workers' rights together, to talk about things and figure out our steps forward. What else about me? This is not just my project. So I have friends who are currently collaborating with me on working on this interface. So this may not necessarily be the intro video that stays up here forever, but right now I sort of birthed this thought child when we had a guest here who was saying that I should go online. I might have my own kind of chatty, anecdote kind of channel, but that'll be a different channel with my other email address. This one is going to be Forge of Brigit, so it's devoted to Brigit. I want to thank you for tuning in to anything you tune into. We want to keep things relaxed and calm, and there's another video coming up that I want you to take a look at if you're interested in participating in any of our conversations, or even if you're going to be watching for very long, so that you can understand some of the dance that we do as people who facilitate conversation, because the goal is to keep the conversation moving and on track, but you may see us interrupt every once in a while, either to make sure that more material is covered, or to interrupt something that is against some of the ground rules, which we'll go over in the other video. Things like no personal attacks, no ad hominem attacks. We're going to have information about that, so people coming in know how the conduct of this space is anticipated and invited, actually encouraged, and to be, and will be interrupted if it doesn't kind of flow that way. But it mostly is about energy. And, as somebody who's a pagan, I really enjoy sharing this space with other people. I enjoy kind of grounding and working through that. And so with that, I am going to world some gods into this. So I invite you to tune in for the rest of this video as I offer a prayer to invite different mysterious ones to help us in this work of communicating with each other. Sacred ones, you are with us, and so we world you, we honor you. We honor first the source of us all by pouring out water to you, source. We say that you are not separate or out of our encounter or beyond our ability to comprehend. Sacred source, you are here. You are this water. You are us. We honor you, sacred source. May our synchronicities bring us into mutual aid, collaboration, and direct democracy. Honor the great beings who help us travel into the different realms, the animals, the stones, the plants, the fungi, the sacred deities. For Brigit, you are here with us. For Localized, you are here with us. For Tayeltiu, you are here with us. For the ancient ones of all the cultures of indigenous peoples around the world, you are here with us. For the squirrel and the fox and the zebra and the horse, you are here with us. And especially for the bees who need us so deeply, you are with us. For all the many plants that we grow in our garden, we are joyful because of you, and full and happy and content, and have food to eat. And generations to come will have food to eat because of you. And you are not separate from us. You are here with us, and we water you with this water. And now, last, I honor the ancestors, the ones who brought us together in the way that we are here now. You sacred ancestors, you are the great mystery. You have taught us with your skilled hands how to hone stones into axes, how to hone tree limbs and weave them together into thatched huts, how to go with woven baskets from wisteria vines to gather the fruit of trees in old-growth forests, how to make spears and bows and arrow to collect food from the animal ones. Great ancestors of every spirit, every species, come and be here for the spirit of upliftment and class consciousness. With that, I want to whirl just a few ancestors in particular with this plantain leaf. They called it white man's foot because you could tell if the colonizers have been here on North American continent for very long by whether or not you saw this growing. It's called plantain, not like the fruit. It is a grassy looking broadleaf grass. It's very pungent, and it brings, it's very sharp in its taste, to me anyway, and it brings good health to your lungs. It also is a good pain reliever when you've been stung. With this, I honor Joe Hill and every other martyr this capitalist system has sought to control us through torturing and killing. You are not alone. In the hour of your death, we are with you, always. And we honor you now, for all time is connected. We give you thanks for your bravery, O fallen warriors. Come and aid us, so that we do not need to be martyrs, but can live to be old elders in this great, beautiful wealth of abundance that we will co-create. I want to honor Dorothy Day, who lived her life to bring people together for conversation, for hospitality, for farm communes. And I want to honor Peter Morin, who saw culture in France, who saw in medieval times that halfway houses would offer more of a sense of commons and shared earth. Peter Kropotkin, the theorist who fueled much of the thought behind mutual aid in this revolution. Anarcho-communism, and the idea that we can share resources. Laying the groundwork for the gift economy. You remind us once again that art is the earth gifting itself to itself. Lastly, I call upon you, Graces, Gaia, and Hecate. In these dark times, bring your torch and hounds. Bring your sacred creativity in the midst of chaos. And O Graces, remind us that having conduct which will allow for hierarchy to dissolve is so simple, All it takes is grace. Thank you, ancient ones. Well, that was our little ceremony. I welcome you. Invite your ceremony. Invite your continued labor toward the co-creations that you do. I invite you in this time to think about this reflection that I have, which is just that our lives have been taught to make something for the owning class. And I think we can be shaped in that way to think that we have to make something for somebody else. Oftentimes we can separate ourselves from our sense of connection to the working class. And so it's important to start with ourselves as the working class. So if you're going to be making something, and if you're an organizer out there, this is our biggest pattern. I'm only sharing this because I recognized it as my pattern lately. And it's my dedication in this podcast. My collaboration here is just to make Nets a tool for dialogue. And so my promise is that I will not create here for somebody else or some other group. I will only be creating here for the group that I'm part of, which is the earth class, the working class, the ones who produce all the wealth of the world and don't exploit somebody else's labor to do so. So what I'm inviting you to do and inviting myself to do, produce for yourself for once, because that's what that big old bad boss took away from you all those years. And if you still have a big old bad boss, or a fun boss, or cool boss, or a lady boss, or whatever, do what you can, try to find a way. Join a worker-owned cooperative if you can, join a commune, participate, organize a mass walkout. But whatever you do, in the meantime, make something for yourself, okay? Make something for you. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So what I've made here is for the ancestors, for the source of, the original source of us all, and for the animals who help us do shamanic traveling and druidry and many other traditions. This water I made for myself because I'm going to pour this on the seedlings that just sprouted this week in our fall garden, and I'm going to watch them grow, and when the time comes, I'm going to harvest some and offer it to my future ancestor spirit, and then I'm going to eat some. And I'm producing that for myself, and not only for myself, because I'm not greedy. That's the next step afterwards. Producing it for you too. So by all means, if you're hungry, come to Brigit's kitchen, and I'll stir fry you up some mustard greens. Peace and blessed be, my friends. The very longevity of the parrots would thus appear as a result of their social life. Could we not say the same as regards their wonderful memory, which also must be favored in its development by society, life, and by longevity, accompanied by a full enjoyment of bodily and mental faculties till a very old age? As seen from the above, the war of each against all is not the law of nature. Mutual aid is as much a law of nature as mutual struggle, and that law will become still more apparent when we have analyzed some other associations of birds and those of the mammalian. A few hints as to the importance of the law of mutual aid for the evolution of the animal kingdom have already been given in the preceding pages, but their purport will still better appear when, after having given a few more illustrations, we shall be enabled presently to draw therefrom our conclusions.